the inaugural first episode of Music in Paranoid Times. My name is Al Capo. I am a singer, songwriter, and bass player in an alternative rock trio called Stuck on Planet Earth. And I'm here with my co-host, very talented music journalist, Juliette Jagger. How's it going?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Do you want to tell people about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So as Al mentioned, I'm a freelance music journalist. Right now I'm working with Celebrity Access. It's a pretty rad platform. A lot of people in the entertainment industry are probably familiar with them. And I'm working on a book project right now that is about this super cool label, A&M Records of Canada. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm up to.
Okay, so we've been talking about getting this podcast together for a little while, and it's been kind of tough, especially with the COVID-19 outbreak, but I think we finally found something that works, a solution. Thankfully, we have Zoom to be able to do this. Why don't you let everybody know what our podcast is all about?
For sure. So this podcast is basically going to be Al and I sort of seeking to uncover what drives quote unquote music people to create and work in the business of music in the digital age.
All right, you ready to do this? Let's get into episode 1 of Music in Paranoid Times. All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of Music in Paranoid Times. We are here with the very talented singer and songwriter, Aarys.
Hey.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this for us for our first episode.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. Just hanging out here in in isolation. Same as everybody. But yeah, just trying to keep busy.
I don't even know what day of isolation is. I know because I've been doing the Stuck Inside Instagram live thing for the band that we're on. I guess this is week 7 right now, I believe.
Oh my God.
Is it
probably.
It's week 7?
Yeah. Because I just
started mid-March, I think.
Yeah.
6. I think we're week 6. No, who knows 6? Anymore.
Okay. Anyways, the point is Music in Paranoid Times has never been more relevant because of all this crazy stuff going on. But before we get into it, Juliette, do you have anything to say about Aarys before we start here?
Yeah, let's give the people a quick little rundown on what you've been up to. You are originally from the Niagara region, fair to say?
I am, yeah.
But you're based in Toronto now.
I am. I moved about a year and a half ago.
Yes. So your debut album, which is literally brilliant, Secrets, dropped in 2019, in April, actually. So happy 1-year debut album anniversary.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Produced by Tim Abraham, who I understand you've known for a really long time. Tell us quickly a bit about putting the album together with Tim. And I know it was a bit of a long process for you.
It was, yeah. I mean, I met Tim at the beginning of the album process. I didn't know him beforehand. It just so happened that I was playing a gig back in Niagara in Port Colborne. His sister-in-law worked there, and she was like, "Are you looking to record?" And I was actually looking to record. So she just gave me his name, and we met, and we started working on the album back in what year was it even? I don't know. It took a few years. It was about a 3-year project to develop the songs, write the songs, develop me as an artist, and then put some stuff out. So it was definitely a developmental period of my artist life, which was well spent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so now that it's out in the world and you've sort of moved on, to what you're doing now, how do you sort of feel about it as a debut? Do you feel like you've changed as an artist since that came out? Is that still an accurate statement for you? Like, where are we at with that now?
It's still an accurate statement. I'm really proud of the project as a debut. I think it has done some good things, and there's a lot of great songs on it. Songs that I still enjoy performing, which is a good sign. But yeah, I mean, I'm always evolving a little bit as a writer, and I'm working with different producers and just collaborating with friends. And so things are just naturally evolving, but it's still within the same scheme of who I am as an artist. It's just sonically different. So I'm a little bit more lyrically honest, just changing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, of note for sure, this album actually ended up winning Album of the Year and Video of the Year for your song "Bad Thing" at the Niagara Music Awards, which I happened to be there that night, and it was super rad. Yeah. So, that must have been a really full circle moment for you.
It was, because I started doing music in Niagara, and I was a full-time musician there. Still am. I still go back and perform when there's no pandemic happening. I go and perform. But it was full circle for sure. I started there, and to be recognized for my first big project like this was really nice.
Beauty. Al, any questions?
Yeah. So, I mean, I ask this to artists all the time, but for people that are listening that don't know who you are or what your music sounds like, how would you describe your sound to people that are just delving into your music?
I would describe it. I would say it's like an alternative indie pop, some electronic elements mixed with like a singer-songwriter vibe. I do enjoy a nice ethereal, atmospheric vocal. I don't know. It's not really one thing.
I would agree with that. I would also say it's kind of got like some dark alternative pop vibes.
Dark alternative, yeah, that's me. I had like early influences in dark alternative music. So
like who? Talk.
Yeah,
sorry to cut you off.
Like let's be mysterious and just like dark. Evanescence was like my first major music crush.
Nice.
Yeah.
That seems fitting for you. I can so see you as an Evanescence an Evanescence gal.
It was like all I listened to in high school. I went through a lot of periods where I would like only listen to like one thing, and Evanescence like lasted all through high school. I was like a big fan. Still am. I still signed up for their new record.
Nice.
Pre-order. They're still
OG fan right here.
Yeah.
So just to touch on like the dark pop, I've noticed that a lot of your lyrics, is it fair to say that a lot of your lyrics are about anxiety and depression and kind of the way that you cope with that? It seems like you cope with that through your music and the message in your lyrics. Where does that come from?
Yeah, you're right. Like, I do take a lot of inspiration in my songs from that. And it comes from a real place of me dealing with anxiety and depression, mostly anxiety, especially from like my whole life. I've just, ever since I was a kid, I had anxiety. I just didn't know it was anxiety until I was about 21. Just now thinking back on some of the things that was going on, even as a child, thinking I was having like heart problems and stuff. It was just like panic attacks I was having at nighttime as a kid. And it's now I started learning about it after one particularly bad bout of anxiety, around when I was like 21 years old, and I learned what it was. And then I started becoming more aware of what it meant and how it helped me to talk about it. So I just kind of started writing about it, wanting people to express it more freely and feel comfortable doing that. So that's why I put it in my music a lot.
Yeah. And you released a song, I guess this year already, and it's called Talk.
Yeah.
And I guess it really deals with anxiety. The whole subject matter is about anxiety. And you kind of did something cool. You partnered up with, I believe it was Cam H.
Yeah, it was Cam H.
And you played like a pop-up show. Is that right to say?
Yeah, I put on an event for them. I mean, actually, they had nothing to do with it at first, but we have been in contact since then. And, you know, when this is all over with and I can start planning another event, we will be in partnership with it. But I put together a singer-songwriter event for my Talk single release. And I had myself and 4 other singer-songwriters from Toronto and beyond come and do a live show. And we raised all the money from the door. We donated to Cam H. And that's all awesome. The downloads and streaming revenue I get from Talk, I was also going to donate to Cam H.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So with that being said, have you had outreach from people who deal with anxiety and depression, be like, oh, you know, this really helped me get through a tough time? Are people vocal about those kinds of things, or is it more, is it kind of quiet and not talked about as much?
They are vocal, which is, it means so much to me when people tell me that. It's like when I first started performing talk, even before I recorded it, I'd have people come up to me at shows and tell me that like that one line in the chorus like was perfectly explaining how they've been feeling. And then like now that the song's been out, I got messages, and there was even someone in Argentina who got the artwork tattooed on their leg.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which was like
amazing.
It's just crazy to me how it can reach people, and I'm glad that it does, because that's what I wanted. Like I want to advocate for people talking about mental health and breaking the stigma around it. So the fact that music can be a vehicle to that is very important to me.
I think right now, especially with everyone being stuck inside, I know that, you know, people who struggle with, you know, with mental health issues are it's a very real and scary time for everyone, and it can be really difficult to go through that when you feel isolated and when you feel alone. So I think this time more than ever is so important to connect and to talk about those things.
Absolutely.
You actually mentioned to me previously you had a really beautiful moment during that that show that you did with Cam H. Can you tell us about that?
That night, I cried twice on stage, which I don't do usually. But the moment that meant so much to me was when I was performing the song. I asked people to sing along with me, and everyone did. And that whole night leading up to that moment was just like a room full of maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40 people, literally just sitting there in complete silence. Like I had to give them an intermission, just because they were like so quiet throughout the whole time, like just listening to all of the writers tell their stories, being very respectful of the situation and the subject matter, not a peep. And then for them to all join in and sing that line that I wrote that I was hoping to be so universal, I want to talk to you, but I want to hide from everyone, like just totally broke me. So
yeah, that's a chills moment for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's just take it back a little bit. So we have an understanding of kind of where you're at now and the music that you're releasing now, but where did this all start for you? What was the beginning? We know you were a big fan of Evanescence.
Yeah.
How did that then internalize to you picking up the guitar and becoming a songwriter?
Well, I started singing when I was a kid, and just for fun. My parents, so my dad's a musician, and he always has been. He was a full-time musician when he was my age too, and so like they had an ear for it, and they just realized that there was one day where I was harmonizing to the radio in the car as a kid, and they were like, well, that's not easy for people, so maybe she has some talent. So they signed me up for singing lessons, and I started doing that. But then my dad taught me how to play guitar when I was 13. And I had a vocal coach at the time who was gigging, and he just had me like come out to some gigs and play with him. And then from there, I started getting into my own duos and trios, and then I started playing by myself. And now it's like my full-time job to perform. And that's how I started out.
Amazing. And it's always kind of good when you have that support, because there's so many artists that are coming up, or people who play in bands or whatever, that just don't have that kind of support, and they really have to go out of their way to kind of start and do their thing. And it's hard when you don't have support from the people that you care about around you. So I mean, it's definitely a blessing that you have that.
Yeah, big ups to the parents who support dreams.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been great. They've always been very supportive.
Touching on our discussion about Evanescence there, what would you say was your sort of, I love to ask artists this question, because I feel like your high school years are really informative and imperative years as far as forming the artist or the person that you're going to end up becoming. What was your sort of go-to artist or records during high school, the one that sort of defined it all for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, it won't be a surprise. It is an Evanescence record. Their debut record, Fallen, I knew front to back, all parts, even like background vocals. So it was like, and like I sang My Immortal at the high school talent show, and like that's how people began to know that I was like a real singer. And I won I was in grade 9, and I won the whole school talent show with My Immortal, and that's how I like solidified myself there.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was the album that really like kind of defined my high school.
All right, I have
days.
to ask this.
Yeah.
Do you currently cover any Evanescence songs?
Oh yeah.
You do?
For sure. Yeah.
What do you got in your arsenal? Tell us.
Well, I can do My Immortal, obviously, and Bring Me to Life. That's always a crowd favorite when I play
for sure.
pubs and stuff because of that call response. I always get someone who's drunk and just like, wake me up. Those are the two that I like that I do most regularly. That's like their biggest.
That was like the perfect fusion of like rock and nu metal. That song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always wonder. I just remember watching the music video on Much Music, and I always remember the dude in that video. I don't know why. Pretty sure he was scaling a wall. I'm like,
yeah, he was.
And she's just like sleeping.
Yeah. You know, it's
Spider-Man moment.
A very poignant. Yeah, totally Spider-Man days.
Mm-hmm.
Very poignant moment in music history because that song was absolutely massive.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so you get started. Where was your very first show that you played?
My first show, so cover show. Like I played a cover gig. The first ever time I played live for money was at a brewery in Niagara Falls called Taps Brewery. And I think I was probably like 14 or something like that. And like obviously I couldn't play there by myself or like stay. Like I think and I feel like it is like a family restaurant, I believe, but just it was kind of hard to play in pubs and breweries and stuff when I was like underage. Yeah. But that's where I started. And I think my first original show had to have been, I can't remember. Possibly, well, as for this project, it was at Warehouse Concert Hall in St. Catharines.
Which is a great venue, by the way.
Yeah.
So my band has played in St. Catharines in the Niagara region a lot, and I'd say it's got a very healthy independent music scene. Would you say that it was really good for you to come out of that place in Ontario?
Yeah, I think so. It allowed me to, like, because there was always a place to play, and there was like a smaller and supportive community. It was nice to grow up in it, and I just felt like eventually I had to move on to a bigger city to have more opportunities. But I mean, to come from there was definitely great. Yeah, I had great times there.
All right, so yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I think that was really visible at the Niagara Music Awards. You know, there was such a diverse, an eclectic, and just like all different genres, all different kinds of people, really supporting their own. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, they do. There's definitely a supportive, support local kind of atmosphere. Yeah.
All right, so fast forward, you come out of the Niagara music scene. You're playing independently. You're cutting your teeth. How do you get to Toronto? How does that move happen?
I had been wanting to move to Toronto for years, and I just couldn't afford to. And an apartment kind of fell into my lap. My ex-boyfriend's sister was moving to Vancouver, and I still talk to his family. So she was like, "Hey, I know you're trying to move here, and my apartment is a really good deal." So I just moved in to her old place. And I had already been recording here for a couple of years, and I had already started playing some gigs around the area. So I felt like I had like a network that I could comfortably start the transition. And so I just moved. I moved kind of on a whim, like within a couple months I was here. I moved on my birthday about a year and a half ago. And now I'm here.
And
I'm not going back.
How's your experience been in the Toronto music scene?
It's really been great. Ever since I moved here, opportunities have come so much quicker and more often. My network has expanded like crazy, like just people I've met, friends that I've made, and like a lot more creatives that I've encircled myself with. So it's been an awesome experience being here.
You work very closely with how would we call it? What would we say Division 88 is? It's sort of like a collective of artists.
Yeah, it's a collective of artists, like independent label, recording studio. all jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, yeah. and we're Billy Wild, who is a good friend of all of ours, and is your partner in crime, shall we say?
Partner in crime, yeah. That's him.
And but yeah, tell us a bit about working with Division 88, because it is a very cool sort of umbrella that it brings in artists and creatives from all over the Toronto music scene, and he's been doing some really, really cool stuff there, and you've been a part of that. So tell us a bit about that.
Oh, it's been great. And I started working with Division 88 basically doing music videos, which is the one that won Video of the Year. Billy is a very creative person, as we all know. Shout out Billy Wild.
He's gonna be coming on here soon.
Yeah. We all know Billy's a creative guy.
He's listening, isn't he? Where is Billy right now?
He's telling me what to say right now. He is a very creative person, and I've always known that. So it's cool. Like, his label is very much a thing, its own thing. It's a very unique space. I think all artists who come through feel that, and they love the location, they love the space, they love the vibe, and there's a very supportive group of people now who are working in that community. Kind of all started with like a Monday night jam. Now, unfortunately, that's not happening, but I'm sure it will again. It's just been a good community of people, and has helped me a lot with my marketing strategies, my creativity, and putting out visual content. And I'm making music there now too. So
I have something else to ask. You've been an independent artist. What advice would you give to other independent artists who are out there right now, just trying to do the same thing, trying to get their name out there, and trying to leave their mark in the industry?
Yeah, I would say do as much research as you can, personally, not having to rely on someone else telling you how it works. So I've definitely, there's been moments where I've like kind of just been waiting around for like something to happen, and it's like you really just kind of have to take the bull by the horns and start researching stuff yourself, knowing how to do things yourself, and getting out there and meeting people has been the most helpful thing to me. Is just going to open mics, going to events, going to other people's shows, and growing a network of people that way. That's always going to be like a good foundation and base to start.
Yeah. And, being independent means that you have to wear a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
And not everybody can wear those hats. I mean, it's difficult, and
it's hard. I'm not great at it.
You're better than most, though.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I feel like I'm still learning. Like I just read a book on Spotify like 2 days ago. And I've been putting music out on Spotify since 2018. So like I'm still learning. But you do have to wear the hats of kind of like manager, booking agent,
video director,
artist,
producer,
and all that stuff until you wind up getting a team behind you. But yeah, for a while it's like you kind of just go it on your own.
It's kind of crazy how it works nowadays. I mean, it's been like this for the last 15 years, but if you're an artist coming up, you really have to build your own little empire before anything else kind of happens, which you got to be able to tour, you got to be able to put out your own music videos, you got to be able to put out music independently, manage yourself, and obviously all the business that comes along with that. And once you start to build this little ball of who you are, I feel like people start to kind of come on board. But a lot of artists always struggle with how to put all those pieces together. And it does take a long time. And
it does.
I mean, like, I'm proof of that. You're definitely proof of that it's definitely not something that happens overnight. It takes a long time of trying to really grind it and try your hand at a million different things. And one thing I've noticed with your music is it's evolved a lot, whether it's been singer-songwriter. And I've just noticed, and I just want to jump into this, I've noticed as of lately, I would say just in this last year, 2020, I can't even believe we're like this far into 2020 and we're all stuck inside. But I've noticed that you started to do a lot of remix projects.
I have, yeah.
And So this is kind of different from you because you're a singer-songwriter by nature, and you're used to kind of playing this dark alternative pop, and now you're kind of stepping into the realm of like EDM dance music. What's that experience like?
It's been really great. The Secrets album has been remixed now by 3 people. There's a couple more in the works still. And I mean, remixes, first of all, are just a great way to get the song a new life and a new audience. But being in the EDM, even like there's like a dubstep world, like the Bad Thing remix is like EDM dubstep done by Dex Arson. That's been really cool. And his fan base has been really receptive of the remix. I performed it live with him, which was really fun. Like to perform at an EDM show like that, like at a dubstep show, was like nuts. Everybody was going just ape shit.
Do you ever find that like when you're stepping into a new genre or you're working on a remix with somebody and it's sort of untapped territory that you haven't really delved into yet, is there ever a moment of insecurity, like in just as in like I don't know if I belong in this space, or is it like pure excitement for like, hey, anything could happen here?
I've been excited about it. I've never felt like insecure. I mean, just the fact that I loved the remix, like I didn't really care. But I actually really like the EDM world, and I'm going to be collaborating some more with Dex, who did the remix, and with others. So I'm excited about that little journey. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So before we get out of here, because we're not going to take up too much more of your time, a few questions that come to mind for me. What's next for Aarys?
In isolation, I'm learning how to produce myself right now. So working on that, and maybe eventually releasing some stuff that I do on my own. I'm just writing a lot, and I have a lot of songs in the bank. So kind of finishing up maybe a little EP soon and putting something out in the summer. That's my plan.
And if someone has never heard you before, what would you say is the best introductory song to your music in your catalog?
Good question.
That is a good question. I want to say Talk, because it's the most recent view into my world. Cool. If not that one, Bad Thing, because that's basically the crowd favorite at all my shows. So, yeah.
Very cool. All right. I have a couple rapid fire questions too here right now that I wanted to prepare. Hold on one second. I have to pull up my phone. The first concert you went to?
Jonas Brothers, before they were cool.
The last concert you went to?
Banks.
The dream venue for you to play?
O2. It's a big one.
Damn, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Real big.
That's a dream.
All right. And if you could open up for any artist, who would that artist be?
Bishop Briggs.
Bishop Briggs. Very cool.
Who likes your music?
She shared my video once. Now she knows who I am. Now we're friends. It's going to be all open for her.
You'll be crossing paths sooner than later.
Yeah, I would hope.
I think so.
She's cool.
Juliette, do you have anything, any other questions before we get going here?
I think let's tell the people where they can find Aarys's music, and where can they find you?
Anywhere you can stream or download music, just look up Aarys. That's my name. And Instagram is It's Aarys. That's same for Twitter, and I'm on Facebook too. Aarys.
And before we sign off on Music in Paranoid Times, the first episode, what has been your go-to during this quarantine right now?
Actually, I've taken to drawing a lot. Like I kind of wanted to just take up a new hobby. So I make little sketches. Like I just kind of copy pictures that I find online. Right now, I'm not very good at doing it just like from my imagination, but I'm just like kind of drawing pictures of little cartoons and keeping myself calm. I'm also watching Breaking Bad. And there's Lysol on the back, so obviously I'm cleaning.
You're cleaning.
and finally, any advice for people that are in quarantine right now, isolation, anything for the people that are listening?
Well, I'd say for sure, if you're struggling, to reach out to somebody, because it's a very difficult time right now. I have my days where I'm not okay, and I have some moments where I just like I need to talk to somebody about it. So definitely do that, and just keep in touch with your loved ones as much as possible. Technology, thankfully, right now is pretty much a blessing. So.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate
it. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Aarys.
Of course. See you guys
All right,
soon,
guys,
hopefully.
we will take off here on the first episode of Music in Paranoid Times. We will see you next time. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye.
I'm afraid to be open when they want